Hello, mysterious person behind the screen. Can you hear me? Right, okay. So this is late. Usually these reviews go up Wednesday, Thursday at the latest. It's now Friday. Why am I leaving it this late? Simply because I didn't really enjoy this that much. It was fine. It was okay. I enjoyed it. Kind of. But when all's said and done, it's not really one that I took to that much. I thought it was all very underbaked and undercooked, and it feels like a first draft of a really cracking story. But if you just expanded on some things here and there, if you did this and did that, it'd be fantastic. But as it is, I just think it's heavily flawed. Should we talk about the last 10 minutes first? Because the last 10 minutes are fantastic. The bits with Yaz, we find out what happened to her, why she is the way she is, and the bit with the 50p was just a lovely little. That was such a nice little bit of writing. So it was memorably unmemorable. It's just one of those ordinary things that becomes memorable because of the writing, and it's just such a. I love that bit. The bit with Ryan's friend going to talk to someone, fantastic. Graham being scared about his cancer returning. It was all focused on different mental health issues, and it's such an important thing to do. That is such an important issue to touch upon, especially because mental health is something that people are really struggling with nowadays, especially today. More people feel like they can come out and talk about it, but it's still people don't feel like they can. So I feel like addressing it in Doctor Who, when a lot of young people see it, and the internet generation with all that toxicity that's quite hard to escape from. I think it's great that it addressed that. And those last 10 minutes came like a punch to the gut. It really did. But, and there is a but here, and I don't know how I can say this without coming across as insensitive. I don't mean it to be. The intention I thought was fantastic, and I really appreciate that they did it, and I did really enjoy those last 10 minutes. But in the case of, say, Yaz, wouldn't this have been, from a narrative standpoint, like, I know it was a very effective story and a very effective sort of little bit for her, and I know a lot of people, it got to a lot of people, but wouldn't this have been a huge sort of impactful moment if, say, in Series 11 and previously in Series 12, that we had sort of had pepperings of something like something that happened to Yaz years ago or something, and a family are like, that thing happened and she's never been comfortable to reveal it, and then this episode is the reveal. So say if this had been a building sort of plot thread over the course of the era, and then this episode was the reveal, I would have had an emotional sort of gut punch, because I do agree with people saying that it's sort of a bit too late in the run to be giving this, to be like dropping this amount of character detail about Yaz and Ryan now. This should have been done like last series, or at least earlier in this series. I think I said to my friend, and I said on Twitter, Pete and Jackie, let's take series 1 and 2 as an example. Pete and Jackie's reunion in Doomsday works amazingly well because that moment has been earned over the course of 2 series. We have seen how it has changed Jackie as a woman, from going back in time and seeing how she used to be in Father's Day, and how much Pete meant to her, and we've seen how life is like for her without him. And then in the parallel universe in Series 2, we've seen what life is like for him without her in the parallel universe when she dies. And so when they reunite, when the alternate version of Pete gets to meet Jackie, and they acknowledge that they aren't each other's husband or wife, but that doesn't matter because they can finally see each other again after all these years. It's such a lovely moment, and it hits hard because you know how much this moment means to those characters, because you've spent time getting to know these characters, and so when a moment like that happens, you forget that this is in the middle of the story with Daleks and Cybermen, and you forget the Doctor's there, you forget Rose is there, because this moment isn't for them, this is for Pete and Jackie, this is Pete and Jackie's moment. And I think if we had something like that with Yaz in this, where this had been sort of a building up thing, and it's like, okay, here's what happened, it would have been so... it's great anyway. It really is. And that shot of her just on the road, just sitting there, like, defeated, it's wonderfully done. It really is. It's just, I wish that it would have been complemented by something else. And with Ryan's friend, I think his name was Thibaut. I could be pronouncing that wrong. I could be misremembering completely, but I think that was his name. I feel like, again, he should have been a recurring character beforehand. I know he popped up in Spyfall, but he should have popped up beforehand. Basically, he should have been a more recurring presence throughout this era, and it's a missed opportunity. Having said that, him actually opening up and talking to people about his mental health issues, again, very, very well done. So that's kind of where I stand on those last 10 minutes, really, because it's like, I really like them, and I really love that the show attempted to do it, and I think it's admirable that it attempted to do it, but I also think it was a bit of a missed opportunity. And I think those last 10 minutes could have been worked thematically into the story more. And I know that people have said that the villains are meant to be metaphors for mental health issues, and I get that. But you look at something like Vincent and the Doctor, which I feel did it more successfully. I don't know. I think it just could have been tightened up and smoothened, and that's really my sort of thought process with this whole story. I think it just could have used another go over. Should we talk about the big controversial element? Because I was kind of dreading talking about this, I'm not gonna lie. The scene with Graham and the Doctor at the end, when Graham opens up to her about how scared he is of his cancer possibly returning. And the Doctor says, "I'm socially awkward," or something to that effect, and just sort of goes back to playing with the console. Now, since this episode has aired, the BBC have released a statement. I believe this came out Tuesday maybe. And they have released a statement clarifying their intentions, because a lot of people were very angry at the Doctor's reaction. And the statement basically read, how I kind of took it initially, that their intentions were to show the Doctor and to portray her as someone who's ever been in that situation not finding the right words, which I can relate to that. It's hard to find the right words to say, and I can totally get what they were going for, but I think with how it was written and how it was played, I don't think that was necessarily successful, because that something about it, the subtlety wasn't there, and so you've just got the Doctor going, I'm going to kind of ignore this and go back to playing with the console. Now, I would have done this, just me, little dorky little 18-year-old from Hereford. This is just how I would have done this. I would have had Graham have his little monologue and open up to the Doctor and have her maybe silent. She doesn't need to say anything. Maybe she tries and the words don't come out, but she goes over to Graham and she just gives him a hug, because a hug can mean so much to speak to people, and a hug can be so powerful, and it can say so much. And actions speak louder than words, after all. And I completely get that idea of the Doctor not knowing what to say. And like I said, I like that idea. I like that they are willing to explore that side of it. But just have her give him a hug. Just have her try and find the right words, but not quite working, and just going, alright, I'm going to hug you. Because a hug just says, look, I care about you. Hug says I love you at the end of the day. That's all you needed. That's all you needed for that scene. Or, I've seen other suggestions of people saying just go about it in another way, and they've all been more successful than what was actually put on the screen. And the more I thought about it after the episode went out, the less it sat right with me. And I've mellowed on it since the BBC have released that statement, and I completely get their intentions. I just don't think it was realised well. But if you connected with that, and if you thought it was realised well, then great. I'm not going to take that away from you, because I think that's your right, man. That's it's if you connected with it, excellent. I'm so happy because it did its job. So, oh god, we're like 10 minutes in. We haven't even started talking about the meat of the story yet, have we? Okay, so the story I thought was good. Again, the whole nightmare thing I was really excited about, but I kind of feel like it's been done better in other works. The thing that came to mind was the episode of Buffy, Restless, but even taking that out of the equation and just going by Doctor Who stuff, or stuff like in the Doctor Who universe as well, like the Sarah Jane Adventures, the Nightmare Man, I think that was done more successfully. Having that creepy white face in your dreams, stalking you and stalking the streets, eating your dreams and stuff. And they tried to do a bit like that with this one when Zellin and the other one was stalking the streets, but it didn't quite have that threatening effect for me, really, despite the fact that Ian Gallagher as Zellin was awesome and so creepy. And that bit where he appears in the child's bedrooms, like, there's no such thing as boogeyman. Well, that's not quite true, is it? That was so cool and so intimidating. I kind of wanted more of that. And in that respect, Sarah Jane Adventures did this nightmare concept and how it can realise the character's fears better, I think. Even something like Amy's Choice. And it's slightly different because that's much more of a idiosyncratic character in the Dream Lord and more complex than, say, Zellin. But I think it was done better. And I just... And how they were defeated as well. It felt like, hang on, is that it? Usually that doesn't, because that's been a common complaint with this era, and usually it doesn't bother me too much. But this one, it was like, hang on, what? You just spent a whole episode going, these are gods, these are immortal gods, and yeah, they weren't killed or they were trapped, really, weren't they? And it was just a 5-second thing, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird one. The animated sequence was fantastic. I really like that one. Really cool. Little visual there. I thought all the performances were good. Jodie Whittaker's the Doctor, though. I thought she was good as always. I really like her as the Doctor, but this week I thought she was. This is her weakest performance, I think, because she was just very going through the motions. She knows what she has to do. She does it well. There was nothing to stand out from her, unfortunately, and it's my least favourite she's been, which is a shame because I really like her as the Doctor. I think the stuff in Aleppo, keep the weird werewolf-looking creature. It looked like something, and people were pointing out on Twitter. I was like, yeah, it does look like that, but I can't remember what it is now. It was something from a game, I think, and I'm really struggling to remember. Temple Run, that was it. It was like the creature from Temple Run. Keep that creature. Have all the stuff in Aleppo didn't really need to be there. And I get it was meant to show that this threat was bigger than just Sheffield. It was meant to show that this threat is across the UK. Across the world. But for me, to create more of a connection to the main characters and the main themes of this, and to build up to those last 10 minutes, have all the stuff in Syria and have that move to Sheffield. Have that move to one of Yaz's family, or one of Yaz's, or one of Ryan's mates, or one of Graham's mates even. It just would have made it all feel much more connected, and the stuff in Aleppo just feels like a filler plot. It just doesn't feel like it fits with much else. And I think having one of the companions' mates or family put in danger, it would have added to their doubts at the end when Ryan and Yaz are like, "Is this what we want to do with our lives?" It would have added to that. The last 10 minutes would have been built up, and maybe I don't know. Maybe that I was going to say maybe that was what prompted Thibaut to go and talk to someone, but that probably would have been a stupid idea. Actually, thinking about it, because it would just trivialize the whole thing. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I would improve, and yeah, the whole 3 companions thing has never really bothered me. But thinking about it, I think the character development that they want to put in there just would have been more successful had there been fewer companions, because the Chibnall era is trying to give each character their family, and in the case of Ryan and Graham, I think that works because they are connected. With Yaz though, although I'm really liking her, trying to give her a complex family like Rose and Martha and Donna even, it's got to be a challenge on a writer, because you're trying to do that and then also develop Ryan's sort of world and then Graham's world and how those two things interconnect. And then you're also trying to develop the Doctor's character, and then you're also trying to write a compelling story every week. It's got to be challenging on a writer, and I'm not sure that it's always been pulled off correctly in this era. But that's just random musings. It sounds like I hate the Chibnall era. I don't. I really like it. I just think there's a lot to improve, and then there's a lot of sort of obvious improvements that are frustratingly obvious. Like these should be fixed by now. But I don't know. I'm still enjoying it. Just this episode didn't really do much for me, unfortunately. What did you think of it, though? It's been a long video, this one, but I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you on my next one. Take care now.